Thank you, Speaker.
Just great. From Parkdale, Hyde Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today really in honour of the memory of Caitlin Sampson. Caitlin was a constituent of mine, as is her mother, Bernice Sampson. Bernice is someone I see and pass on the streets at least once a month. Bernice, a woman who struggled with addiction issues all her life. And I can't help but think on this eve of Child Abuse Prevention Month how we, and I'm not going to be partisan about this, how we failed that family. We failed her as legislators, we failed her as educators, we failed her as a law enforcement and justice system, we failed her on all counts. And so the hope is that this year, this time, we'll do something differently. Here's what we should be doing differently. Number one, we need to have enough money in our school system that there are enough adults whose eyes are on our children. That is to say, when a little girl goes missing from school for 3 months, it can't stop with a phone call home to see if she's okay, where an adult voice on the other line, at the end of the line says, yes, she is. It can't stop there. There has to be follow-up. And quite frankly, it wasn't the fault of the public school. They just didn't have the money to send somebody out to check out that this little girl had been sent back to her reserve, which was what the line was on the other end. So we failed her there. Had Bernice, her mother, had access to good childcare, that little girl would have been in childcare, but she couldn't afford good childcare. She didn't have the social work to send her child to good childcare. So instead, she felt it was in the interest of the child to give her over to a couple she thought would look after her. Then what happened? That's where the justice system failed her, Mr. Speaker. Then the judge who presided over that case signed off on Caitlin Sampson without checking the criminal record of the foster care givers. We wouldn't do that for a dog, but we did it for a child. We know what happened at the end, but I mean, this little girl still, her spirit, I think, Mr. Speaker, cries out really for redemption and for some kind of action, real action. Today we heard the member from Kenora Rainy River who asked a question on behalf of over 30 children's aid societies across Ontario, all of whom are chronically underfunded. They cannot provide the care to the children, the high-risk children, in their care. Surely that's the first thing we should be doing, is providing enough funding for all the CASs to do the work that they should do. So that's something else we can do. What else can we do? An action that we could take. Certainly the member from Dufferin-Caledon talked about a couple. I'd like to add my own. We, on behalf of Maria Jones, another constituent, Holly Jones, again, not a victim of abuse per se, a victim of violence, but Maria has decided to have something happen in Holly's memory, and that something is the Boost program in every elementary school. So we have been working with the Boost providers, and we have been talking to the Minister of Education. July 10th is when Boost applied to have their program made accessible to all the teachers, elementary teachers across this province. They're still waiting. So I would ask, I see the Minister of Education here, I would ask that that program be made available to all the elementary teachers who want it, because it will assist them with identifying those who may be being abused in their classrooms, and it will give them the tools to deal with those that may be abused in their classrooms. That should be across the system. And Maria Jones specifically has asked for this because she recognizes that although nothing might have saved her little girl, something very well might have been done to save other little girls like Caitlin, and other little boys as well. So, yes, am I pleased to rise on the advent of Child Abuse Prevention Month? I think of that great biblical saying, you know, better a millstone be hung around their necks and they be thrown into the deepest sea than they hurt a hair on the head of one of these. And now it's our turn. Now it's our turn as all parties to do everything within our means to prevent abuse from happening tomorrow, tonight, this afternoon, while we speak, because it is happening while we speak. So again, I just dedicate these comments in honour of the memory of Caitlin Sampson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Petitions. From Cambridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a petition presented to me by Preston Travel Centre Limited and Cambridge Insurance, which reads, whereas Dalton McGuinty said he wouldn't raise taxes in the 2003 election, but in 2002 brought in the health tax, the biggest tax hike in Ontario's history, but he still undercuts health care services and nurses, and whereas Dalton McGuinty will increase taxes again on Canada Day 2010 with his new combined GST at 13% at a time when families and businesses can least afford it, whereas Dalton McGuinty's new 13% combined GST will increase the cost of goods and services that families and businesses buy every day, such as coffee, gas at the pumps, home heating oil, postage stamps, haircuts, dry cleaning, home renovations, veterinarian care, arena ice, internet fees, theatre admissions, funerals, courier fees, fast food sold for more than $4, bus fares, golf green fees, gym fees, snow plowing, bicycles, taxi fares, train fares, domestic